Hey there, and welcome to the Girl Means Business podcast, the show that's all about helping photographers just like you build a thriving business without sacrificing your sanity. I'm your host, Kendra Swalls, a former teacher turned full-time photographer and marketing coach, here to fill your earbuds each week with practical tips, real-life stories, and a whole lot of encouragement. So if you're ready to dive in, let's get to it because this girl means business. Okay, friend, we are about to have a heart-to-heart, come-to-Jesus conversation that I feel like is really necessary based on the conversations I've been having over the last few weeks. So my job is to talk. My job is to talk to you, to talk to photographers, whether it's coaching calls, inside my coaching membership, here on the podcast, one-on-one with photographers out in the wild, inside of Facebook groups, emails, all the places. I'm constantly having conversations with photographers. And for whatever reason, in the last week or two, I've noticed this overwhelming sense of not even frustration, but negativity. Negativity is the word I'm going to use here because most of the time when I'm having coaching calls, when I'm having conversations, I feel like that there is a sense of like hope that comes out of those. There's a lot of, okay, I feel like I finally have a plan. I feel like I finally have some guidance and some direction, and there's some excitement back in their voice. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's because we are coming off of the busiest month ever of May. If you have kids, you know what I'm talking about, school-age kids specifically, and we're just tired, or if it's a burnout situation, or if it's the summer and feeling like we're out of sync, out of schedule, all the things. But the amount of negativity that I have encountered in the last week or two just feels overwhelming, and I want to address it. So here's what typically happens when I'm starting to sense this negativity is when I'm in conversation with a photographer and I'm sharing suggestions, giving feedback, bouncing ideas off of each other, I am noticing that there is a lot of negative comments coming back. And it's not just in one scenario. It's in a coaching call, and then it's inside of my community membership, and then it's inside of a Facebook group or a DM that I've been chatting with someone in, or I run into a photographer friend out in public and we have a conversation and everything just feels very negative. And I don't want to discount the fact that business is tough. It is hard right now. Like, not only are we in summer season, which is always a slow time for photographers because people are spending money on vacations and summer camps and activities and all the things. And it's a slower season. Everybody's out of their schedule. But it's also just a hard time in general for marketing. We're in a marketing shift right now where, you know, if for a long time it was social media was the way to grow your business. And now that that has changed, people are feeling a little off balance and they're like, I don't really know what's working anymore because there is no magic pill that is working for a lot of people. And so it's throwing a lot of people off their game. They're kind of like, I don't really know. We're in sort of this like marketing limbo phase, if you will. And there's a lot of frustration that comes with that, which is rightfully so. But what I want to address in this episode today is the effect that an ongoing negative mindset can have in the long-term success of your business. Because I've seen this happen time and time again, where it's almost like no matter what someone says to you, you are going to go to the most negative place possible, and there's no recovering from that. You know, I say this to my husband a lot, is that when he comes home from work and he has had a rough day at work or he's had a bad day at work, if he brings that home with him and he is being negative about all the things going on in our house, like there's no recovering from that until he can step away and change his mindset and change his attitude. Because once his attitude changes, then we can come back and have enjoy the rest of our evening together. The same goes for your attitude around your business. If your attitude is consistently negative and you are always in a mindset of, well, it's not going to work, so why try? Or I've done that and it didn't work, so why bother? Or I've seen other people do that. I don't think it's going to work for me. If that is your go-to automatic response, your default response to things when people are trying to help you, then nothing they say, they could be handing you the magic pill to solve every problem in your business. You're not ready to receive that yet. And so if that is the place where you're at right now, where you feel like everything is just like, it's too much, it's too hard, nothing's working, you've tried it all, I need you to take a minute. I need you to take a break. I need you to step away. I need you to do whatever it is that you need to do in order to reset your mindset, because you cannot grow your business from a negative headspace. It's just not going to work. So let me give you an example of 2 different coaching calls that I've had in the last month. So a lot of times I will have people that will hire me for a one-off coaching call, just a 1 or 2 hour session to kind of just get a springboard for their marketing, get some feedback, get some ideas, and then they can run with it on their own. And so I had these 2 different photographers that hired me each separately to book like a 1 hour coaching call. And I had these sessions not back to back on the same day, but one was like in the morning and then one was later in the afternoon. So essentially in the same day. And the very first session, this photographer, everything that she had to say, or any suggestion I had to make towards her was, it's not going to work. Or I just don't know how that would work for me. Or I can see how that might work for someone else, but for my business and my clients, I don't see how that's going to work. Or I feel like I've tried that and it didn't get the results that I wanted. And I even tried digging deeper into, well, what are the results that you wanted? Let's really break that down and let's figure out where the broken link was that maybe didn't get you the result you wanted. Or let's reframe what your result is that you're looking for so that you do feel like you're being successful. And I was pulling out all of my former teacher tricks, right? Doing all the things. And I ended that call feeling really discouraged because I felt like I was not able to help her move forward in her business. When really the problem wasn't the strategies. The problem wasn't, figuring out okay, let's look at what you've done and let's assess that it's not all broken. You just need to make small changes. But because her attitude and her mindset were in this negative place, nothing that I said, nothing that I did was going to help her improve her situation. I literally could have said, here's your golden ticket. You just have to take it and your whole life will be better. And she probably would not have wanted it because she would have had a negative spin on it in some form or fashion. And I felt a responsibility and I reached out to her again and I told her, I said, hey, I feel like that did not go the way that either of us had hoped it would go. I do feel like that there is a block somewhere that you're feeling very discouraged. I would love to do another session with you when you're maybe in a better headspace. And just to wrap up everything with a pretty bow, yes, we did. We did have another session later on, and she was in a much better headspace and more open and receptive to receiving ideas and suggestions and feedback. Now, the second photographer I worked with that day, she came in and it started off kind of the same way. And I was like, oh, what is happening? What is in the water these days that everybody is in this negative headspace? And I just kind of stopped her about 10 minutes in. I said, hey, I'm going to say this in the most loving way possible. I want you to get the most out of the time that we spend together because you're investing money in this and you are wanting to see results. I need you to be open and receptive to hearing the ideas that I have and knowing that while there is no one perfect way to grow a business, I'm trying to help you find the way for your business, but I need you to be open to these ideas. And she was able to accept that. And we kind of talked through her negative responses and why she was feeling so discouraged. And within the next 5 or 10 minutes, her attitude completely changed. She was open to trying new things. We left that session with a list of tasks for her to work on that she messaged me a couple days later and she was like, hey, I got this up and running. It's actually doing really well, better than I thought it was going to do. And it's all due to her mindset. And without getting super woo-woo here, I do believe that you get back the energy you put out. So if you were putting out negative energy into your business, if you're putting negative energy out into the world, you're going to only see negative coming back to you. It's kind of like that. There's a theory out there called Bader-Meinhof, where if you say, okay, I'm looking for a yellow car, all of a sudden you're going to notice all of these yellow cars, right? Even though they may have been there all along, you don't always see them. But when you start looking for them, you start to notice that they're all around. And so the same thing happens with a negative attitude. If you are putting out negative energy, if you're constantly looking for things to go wrong, you're going to notice all the things that go wrong, and you're going to overlook all the things that are going well. The reverse is true also. If you are putting out positive energy and you're always looking for the good in things, if you're always looking for the silver lining, or you're always looking for what can I learn from this, or how can I grow and change from this, you're going to see a lot more positivity. My husband and I are very opposite in this case. Like, he would call himself a realist. I say that he is a negative Nancy, and he would say that I'm too positive about things. But when it comes down to it, like, he has said to me multiple times, he's like, Kendra, I don't understand it, but things just happen for you. Like, things just always work out for you. And I'm like, yes, because I choose to look at the world with a positive lens. And that doesn't mean that every day I wake up and I go, what's amazing in the world today? There are days that I feel depressed. There are days that I think nothing is going right. There are days that I have the negative attitude, but I recognize it. And I make the choice, and I put in the work to change my mindset so that I am looking through the lens of positivity. And when you do that, you start to see the positivity in the world. You start to receive the positivity coming to you in the world. When you're only putting out or looking for negative, you're only going to get negative back. And so if you're at a spot in your business where you are like, yes, I can feel this and I resonate with this because I'm feeling very discouraged. I'm feeling very negative about my business, about where I'm at in my stage of life or my phase of life or the time that I have to devote to my business or whatever it is. I encourage you to, one, really evaluate how you're actually feeling and how it's affecting your business. You may be thinking like, oh, I'm not that negative. I'm not that bad, but then really take a moment to like self-evaluate. And two, figure out if you are in that negative headspace, what can you do to break yourself out of it? Maybe you need to do something creatively that's just for fun, that gets you back to the whole reason you do this business in the first place. Maybe you need to just completely disconnect. Maybe you need to get off social media. That has been one of my biggest things. I have declared that this is my anti-social summer. I am not going to be spending very much time on social media. I don't need the negativity that I feel when I go on social media. I don't need the comparison. I don't need the FOMO. I don't need seeing other people doing things, taking vacations that I'm not going on, or hanging out with friends that I wasn't invited to. I don't need to invite that into my life. And so if that is something that is a trigger for you, stop. Just choose to delete the app from your phone. You do not have to be on there in order for you to be successful in business. And if you are using social media a lot for your business, then just log into your business pages and not your personal accounts, because that is a huge source of negativity. And so removing that can be one of the first factors that helps you to avoid that comparison trap, because that is where a lot of negativity comes for a lot of people. Is you are constantly scrolling on social media. You're comparing what you're seeing to what you're seeing other people doing, to the success, quote unquote, success that they're having. And it can cause you to get into this negative spiral. And so choosing to surround yourself with people, things that are going to inspire you and encourage you can be a huge, huge mindset reset. Another thing that I do when I find myself kind of getting into a negative headspace is I find ways to reset my brain. And that is typically through movement or music. Those are my two big things. So movement is I will get out and I will go play with the dog for a little while in the backyard. I will throw the ball or the frisbee, or I'll take the dog for a walk, or I'll say to my girls like, hey, let's go to the park for a little while, or let's get in the pool and swim for a little bit. Like, just do something that physically moves your body. I have a treadmill. I'll go get on the treadmill and I'll turn on a little show for 30 minutes and I'll just walk on the treadmill and watch a show. Or for me, music is a huge reset. So just putting on my noise canceling headphones, tuning out everything else, putting on music that's really going to like get me energized and excited, and just moving or walking around with music playing, or even just like laying on my bed for 10 or 15 minutes or on the floor and listening to some upbeat music, dancing around in my office. There are some days when the kids aren't home and nobody's going to judge me that I will. If I need to just completely reset, I will turn on some music and I will just dance around like an idiot in my office. Luckily, nobody can see me doing it. And then the other thing is I will just go for a drive. I will get in my car. I will turn on the music and I will just drive around. Maybe I'll run to Sonic and I'll get a Dr. Pepper or an ice cream or some little treat for myself. But I will do something just to get out of my normal space. So whatever it's going to take, whatever you can do or you need to do to reset that mindset, to get out of that negative headspace is going to greatly impact not only your well-being, mentally, physically, emotionally, but it will impact your business. And because not only will it allow you to feel more energized towards your business, but it will give you space to allow things to come in. When you are in a negative mindset, it's like you've put up a brick wall around yourself and nothing can penetrate that. No good idea, no suggestion, no feedback is going to filter through because you are just in this place to shut everything out. When you flip that around and you open up that wall and you break it down and you go, I'm willing to accept that things that may not have worked in the past could work if I do them differently. You are now open to receiving ideas, suggestions, feedback, positivity, and it can greatly, greatly impact how you start to move forward in your business. So I just wanted to take this episode to reinforce this idea that your mindset is such a huge piece of you feeling successful and powerful in your business. And so if you are not in the headspace you want to be in right now, make it a priority for the next few days to really focus on how can I change my attitude, my mindset, the energy I'm giving out into the world for the better, and see if that doesn't make an impact on so many other things in your life and in your business. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in here this week. I know this was a little different than my typical marketing advice, tips, ideas, all the things, but this really is such a huge, huge piece of what makes you successful in business. So thank you for being here. I hope you have an amazing, amazing week, and I will see you back here next week, same time, same place.